Hey guys, welcome to Thoughtful Thursday. I am Amy, and I have somebody new with me today.
I am Cody. I'm the Youth Ministries Director here at Horizons.
Awesome. We are glad we got Cody last year. He became part of the team
September.
Oh my God. Gosh. I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. Where are we? Yeah, that's a good question. So maybe we think about our thoughts. Think about what we do in Psalm 19 today, right?
Yep.
Psalm 19.
Yep.
So we'll go through the NIV version because Jason's not here. He doesn't get to be in charge of what version we're using today. But we both use NIV, so I think that's what we're going to go with. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back. We're getting thoughtful with Psalms 19. And so today I'm going to let Cody start us off and read, and then we'll kind of go through it and see what you guys think, what we think. Message us, comment us, like whatever you want to do on those lovely little buttons on the bottom of the screen, and we'll try and get you involved too, see how well this works today. So,
All right.
All right.
Okay. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech. Night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens God has pitched a tent for the sun. It is like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing to the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple. The precepts of the Lord are right, giving joy to the heart. The commands of the Lord are radiant, giving light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is pure, enduring forever. The decrees of the Lord are firm, and all of them are righteous. They are more precious than gold, than much pure gold, than sweeter than honey from the honeycomb. By them your servant is warned. In keeping them there is great reward. But who can discern their own errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me, then I will be blameless, innocent of great transgression. May these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer.
Wow, it's a long one. And it's one of those that I was trying to figure out, discern what God was trying to tell us through these words, and I couldn't narrow it down. And that's one of those things that sometimes you have to see a bigger picture. It's not necessarily going down deep into one particular verse or one section of a chapter. And so with this one, I kind of chunked it up into a couple different versions. So you got verses 1 through 6. And you're going through his creation, and he's showing you his power, and he's showing us our limits. Okay, not our favorite part. But that's the thing about God, and he has all these things that he's talking to us through his creation. He's giving us those moments of clarity, or those moments of where we're like, okay, we can't see beyond our own nose. And so it's how you're growing. It's how it starts anyways. And then going through verse 7 through 11, I got to look at my notes. I can't remember what it was talking about. Let's see. Talking about his holiness and our sins. And so once again, that dichotomy of where he is versus where we are. But the thing is, as we go through it, and in verses 12 through 14, it's our experiences with him. and how he's bringing that graciousness in our salvation and bringing it all together and wrapping it up. And so he makes it, it's like okay, I'm the good and the powerful and the limits and the sinful and the great teacher and all these things that are coming back and forth, but then how they all get wrapped up into our salvation and forgiveness through him. And that's kind of where I wrapped it all up. You had a couple of those more specific moments in those, didn't you, Cody?
Yes, I did. And so I think looking at verses 12 and 13, but who can discern their own errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me. Like, with that, you can see there's probably guilt within that. And I think guilt can play an important role in bringing us to Christ and keeping us in line. But the important thing with guilt is making sure like it's not crippling us to feel fearful, because God does completely and fully forgive us. And those would just stood out to me in those two there with guilt.
So, like that crippling guilt, do you have anything particular like that helps you work through any guilt you might have at some point? Maybe you have anything along those lines? I know for me, like when I'm feeling guilty and sad, whether it's something I have done, something my kids have done, something that happened in the past that I feel guilty for, how I work through that and how I go through that. And it's not always an easy or clean process. For me, I have to write it all down. I have to get it out in words of my own. And it's not a clean, I can pull up my book and you can see how I can I ramble and I go through it and I repeat myself over and over again until I finally figured out where the word seeps in, because that's what's kind of cool with my writing is that I'll be circling on something specific, an event, and I keep going over it and that guilt keeps rolling over me. But once in a while, God will interject his like a Bible verse and say, "Hey, Amy, remember this?" And and so then wrapping that verse into that, and then I'm able to work backwards and actually work into that forgiveness as well. So as I gave an example, do you have an example for that as well?
Yeah, I think, for me, it's like, depending on the situation with guilt, I think a lot of it has to do with that forgiving too. And I think it involves somebody else, like getting yourself to that point of forgiving them, because you hold on to something until you let it go, until you forgive them. And so I think that's really hard for me, but I've done that in the past when it involves people, and then that forgiveness gets in there, and then you don't really feel that guilt anymore. It's kind of like it's gone. So
giving that release. It's a tension that releases. Definitely a way to that weight, and there's always talk about the weight of the world on your shoulders, and then there's verses in there that talk about yoking up with Jesus, and he takes on that burden for you, and that it's something that you work with together. A yoke isn't something that you're on your own anymore. You're looped together, and so he's working with you in that progress. Definitely some fun ways to go about that. And so as we go through these words and as we think about how we're forgiven and how we can be forgiven now, there are also things like, I was talking about things in the past too. It's something we've been talking about on Sundays with another group, that how we can be guilty, not necessarily guilty ourselves of things that happened, but we can feel it and we can lament. That's the word that we've been working on, lament. And it's not a new word to me, but it's one of those that I don't always grasp the levity, I want to say, of it. And so how lamenting over things is part of the process. We've been talking about process lately too, so it's one of those, I love wrapping things together. And so part of the process, you are over our confirmation students.
Yeah.
And they have a whole process that they're going through. Any insight into what you're giving them for their process?
As far as what?
what you're speaking into them right now, like this week, what was on the docket for this week, anyways?
Well, Pastor Jason joined us in our class last night, and we gave the confirmation students a chance to ask big questions that they have about their faith. And I think that's such a great addition that we have, because I don't remember a time when I was in 8th grade where I got to ask the pastor of my church questions. So I think that's just awesome. And I think it was just a reminder for all of us too, like, you never get to a point where you stop asking questions. I think and help them understand that too, because a lot of people can think, well, I've got to have everything answered before I can come to Christ. But you can come to Christ and still not have everything answered, and because God is so complex that we can ask questions for the rest of our life and we'll never completely understand Him. So.
Oh, and I love that. That's like even going through these Psalms, like this one didn't have a specific question, but some of them they do. They start out and they go, why is this happening? Or what's going on here? Or why isn't this evil going away? And so having those questions and being able to get them out, to share them. So if you guys have a question today, put it down in the comments. We'll get back to it next week probably, because sometimes we have to think about things. We have to process things. And that's what being thoughtful is about. And so I am so excited to keep going on this and share with you guys. Have Cody here for a couple of weeks. So if you have questions for Cody specifically, maybe, you never know.
Get a chance to get to know me.
There you go.
We haven't had a lot of that. It's been a weird time coming in, so.
Definitely a little different, but I think we're wrapping things up. Did you see we were in yellow now?
Yeah.
We are in yellow in Lincoln
something
now.
To praise about,
hopefully we keep that progress going and keep making sure we're staying safe, staying comfortable in how we're being clean anyways, not comfortable as in staying in our bubbles, but we want to be safe. That's definitely a good thing. And so excited for that, and excited to share you with everyone else on Facebook, YouTube, and
excited to be here.
We're glad to be thoughtful. And so if you have any thoughts, want to get thoughtful with us, please comment, share this, and then later on this week it will actually be on Spotify as a podcast. And so you can share that out with your friends so they can listen later. Because sometimes watching it on Facebook's not always the easiest. So we thought we'd give you another chance to catch up or listen to it again. So thank you, Cody. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.